Hello. We are going over how I increase because and why. So first of all, I need to get the right number of stitches, so bear with me 1 second. So when I get to the number of stitches where I want to increase, I go into the stitch, knit like normal, and like a knit front back, you're going to go into the back of the stitch, but instead of actually knitting it, just slide it off that way. And it's going to create a stitch and a second stitch. And when I come back, I can show you what that's about. Hold on. Oop. And so we're going to go in like we're going to knit, and we're going to knit a stitch, and then knit front back. We would go in like this to knit in the back, but we're just going to slide it off. Again, we're going to knit till the increase. And then we're going to go in, knit the stitch, leave it on, go through the back loop, and we're just going to slide it off. And I'm going to pause this and I'll finish the round, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you knit them, what they show up in the fabric. I'm thinking, what if I zoomed in? So let's see how this looks. So we're going to do knit our stitches. 2. Oops. A little bit of veggie matter found its way into that yarn. 4. Okay, so I'm at the stitch that I need to increase. So I'm going to go into the stitch and just like normal knit. But then instead of taking the stitch off, I'm going to go in like I'm going to knit through the back loop and slide it off. So do that again. 1. Okay. And where we want to increase again, just so you have it, it's going to be knit, then go through the back loop like you're going to knit through the back loop. So knit front, knit back, but don't knit it, just slide it off. Okay, be right back. Just so you can see it, I'm going to go ahead for this one, this next increase, and I am going to go ahead and make one. And then on the next, oh, that's my last increase. So you can make one, or you could yarn over, or you can do a lifted increase. Lifted increase is when you do this and then you knit into this one. So that's an option too. I'll go ahead and do this one as, again, the make one. So to make one, there's different people do it different ways. This one is a make one left, and this one is a make one right. And it doesn't matter, because in this case we don't need it to be a leaning one. I think it was out of focus. So make one left, I pull it up from the back, lift it up onto the needle, and then I work through the back loop and I knit that stitch like that. If it's a one on the right leaning, then I would make one right. Then instead I lift it up where the bar is in the front, and then I go in from here and then knit the stitch. I think this one's a little fiddlier, but I'll be back. Okay, we are back, and we're going to go over how the stitches look when you knit them after you increase the way I described it. First, I need to get to that first increase so y'all can see it. And yes, I'm weird. I keep my thumb over the stitches to keep them from coming off and to be able to feel them. So I will move them out of the way, I promise. It'll just be weird and awkward for me. But so here we have that double stitch where we did an increase. So we'll go ahead and knit this stitch. Then we're going to knit this stitch, which is the regular stitch. Maybe not. Y'all trying to do this and see it from the... And then here's our knit back that we didn't actually knit, and now we're knitting it. And you see how now I have a knit stitch, a knit stitch, and a knit stitch. There's no purl bump. Let's get to the next one so you can see it. I'm gonna try. This is not my preferred way to hold yarn, but we'll try and do it this way. So 1, 2, alright, we just did the knit, and then here's the knit front and knit back, and they just look like knit stitches. I'm going to go ahead and knit to the one where we did a not knit front back, where we didn't actually knit that back, where we slipped the back. I'm going to go to the one we didn't do, where I didn't make one right, and we'll show you how that looks when you knit it. Okay, we are back, and I am at the stitch that is a make one. So this one also works. It does create a tiny stitch in here, and then what I feel like comes out to be a little bit of a bigger stitch, but it'll work just the same as the other. I just find it harder to do to start with. So let's go back and look at these others. So here we have your regular stitch and your knit one. So here's your knit one, here's front and knit back, knit front and knit back. Alright, go back a little bit further. We have a knit front and a knit back right here. So they're there and you can see them, but they're not super noticeable. But it's not much different than having this. This looks nicer and it is a little cleaner. It has this little thing, but again, it's just more work. So it's just personal preference. Do you like the look of this, or are you okay with the look of this? If you did I'm gonna go ahead and go just a few more and pretend that this person had done a knit. If I had done a knit front and a knit back, this one would be here. So bear with me while I'm faking out a knit front back after the fact, and it's not easy, but I'm going to undo it shortly hereafter. But let's see if we can get this stitch on here. Alright, so when you do a knit front back, you end up with a knit stitch, and I'll go ahead and knit across it and then I'll undo it. So what it gives you is a purl bump. Then there's no way to undo that purl bump. It's always going to be there. Now, there's no reason to, like, it's not a bad thing to have that purl bump there. I just don't, if I don't have to have it, if all I have to do is knit front, slip the back stitch off as if to purl, I just think it looks so much nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this one in here. I'm not going to undo it because it's already there. But I think these look just as lovely, just as nice, and much better than having that purl ridge. that's it for increases. There will be, the next video will be about the short rows, and so check that one out if you need assistance with the short rows.